Welcome to our countdown of the top 5 most dangerous prisons in the world, where security is tight and survival is uncertain. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into each of these facilities, exploring their grim realities and the stories of those who have been confined within their walls. Make sure you stick around until the end. You won't want to miss out on the final entry. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more gripping content. Also, please leave a comment, let us know what you think. Starting off our countdown, coming in at number 5 is ADX Florence. ADX Florence, also known as the Alcatraz of the Rockies, is a Supermax federal prison located near Florence, Colorado, United States. It is considered one of the most secure prisons in the world and is operated by the Federal Bureau of Prisons, BOP. ADX Florence is situated in the high desert landscape of Fremont County, Colorado, approximately 100 miles south of Denver. The prison was built on a remote site to maximize security and isolation. Construction began in 1991, and the facility officially opened in November 1994. ADX Florence was designed to house the most dangerous and high-risk inmates within the federal prison system. Its primary purpose is to provide maximum security and control over inmates who have demonstrated violent behavior, escape attempts, or pose a threat to national security. The design of the facility emphasizes solitary confinement and isolation. The prison is surrounded by multiple layers of razor wire fencing, guard towers, and armed patrols. Access to the facility is heavily restricted, with stringent security protocols in place for visitors, staff, and inmates. ADX employs advanced surveillance technology, including video monitoring, motion sensors, and remote-controlled doors, to ensure constant supervision and control. One of the defining features of ADX is its extensive use of solitary confinement. Inmates are typically housed in single-occupancy cells for up to 23 hours a day, with limited opportunities for social interaction or outdoor recreation. This level of isolation is intended to minimize the risk of violence and prevent communication between inmates. ADX houses some of the most notorious and high-profile criminals in the federal prison system, including convicted terrorists, gang leaders, and individuals involved in organized crime. Inmates at ADX Florence are classified as Special Administrative Measures, SAMs, and are subject to additional restrictions and monitoring due to their perceived threat level. The use of long-term solitary confinement at ADX Florence has been the subject of significant controversy and criticism. Human rights advocates and legal experts argue that prolonged isolation can have detrimental effects on inmates' mental health and well-being, leading to increased rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide. Several lawsuits have been filed against the BOP alleging unconstitutional conditions of confinement at the facility. Over the years, it has housed a number of infamous inmates, including domestic terrorists such as Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, and Terry Nichols, an accomplice in the Oklahoma City bombing, as well as international terrorists like Ramzi Youssef, the mastermind behind the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, and Zacarias Moussaoui, a conspirator in the September 11 attacks. Inmates have limited opportunities for social interaction and are closely monitored by prison staff. They are allowed brief periods of recreation in individual outdoor cages, but have little contact with other inmates. Meals are typically served in the cells, and medical and psychological services are provided on site. Inmates may also participate in educational and vocational programs, although access to such activities is restricted. Despite its reputation for security, ADX Florence has experienced several high-profile security incidents over the years, including escape attempts and assaults on staff. In 2005, 2 inmates managed to orchestrate a successful escape from the facility by overpowering a guard and climbing over the perimeter fence. The escapees were later apprehended and returned to custody. The presence of ADX Florence has had a significant impact on the surrounding community of Florence, Colorado. The prison provides employment opportunities for local residents and contributes to the local economy through its procurement of goods and services. However, the facility's remote location and high security measures have also led to concerns about its environmental impact and potential risks to public safety. Overall, ADX Florence remains one of the most secure and closely guarded prisons in the world, serving as a symbol of the United States' commitment to maintaining control over its most dangerous and disruptive inmates. Next on our list at number 4 is Tadmor Prison. Tadmor Prison is a notorious penitentiary located in the desert near the ancient city of Palmyra in Syria. Tadmor was originally built by the French Mandate authorities in the 1930s during the colonial period. It was constructed as a military barracks and later repurposed as a prison by the Syrian government. The prison gained notoriety for its harsh conditions and brutal treatment of inmates. Tadmor Prison is known for its sprawling complex of buildings surrounded by high walls and watchtowers. The facility includes multiple cell blocks, interrogation rooms, and execution chambers. The remote desert location of the prison adds to its isolation and secrecy. It has been used by the Syrian government to detain political dissidents, activists, and opponents of the regime. Many of the inmates at Tadmor have been imprisoned without trial or due process, often for their perceived opposition to the ruling authorities. The Syrian government has been accused of widespread human rights abuses at Tadmor Prison, including torture, arbitrary detention, and extrajudicial killings. Former inmates have described horrific conditions inside the prison, including overcrowding, inadequate food and water, and systematic torture by prison guards. One of the darkest chapters in the history of Tadmor Prison occurred in June 1980 when the Syrian government carried out a brutal massacre of inmates following an attempted assassination of then-President Hafez al-Assad. Security forces stormed the prison and executed hundreds of inmates, including political prisoners and suspected members of the Muslim Brotherhood. The prison was closed in 2001 following international pressure and condemnation of its human rights abuses. However, the facility was reopened in 2011 at the onset of the Syrian civil war as the country descended into chaos and violence. The prison has since been used by the Syrian government to detain and interrogate opposition figures and activists. In May 2015, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS, seized control of Tadmor Prison during their rapid advance across Syria. The extremist group released hundreds of prisoners and executed others before being driven out by Syrian government forces in March 2016. The prison suffered extensive damage during the fighting and subsequent airstrikes. Tadmor remains a symbol of repression and injustice in Syria, with reports of ongoing human rights abuses and atrocities committed against inmates. The facility continues to be used by the Syrian government to suppress dissent and maintain control over its population despite international condemnation and calls for accountability. Tadmor has garnered significant attention from human rights organizations, the media, and the international community due to its history of abuse and violence. Advocacy groups have called for the closure of the prison and the prosecution of those responsible for crimes committed there. Tadmor Prison serves as a stark reminder of the brutal tactics employed by authoritarian regimes to silence dissent and maintain power. The suffering endured by inmates at Tadmor has become emblematic of the broader human rights crisis in Syria and the urgent need for justice and accountability. Number 3. La Sabaneta Prison, Venezuela. La Sabaneta Prison, located in the state of Zulia in Venezuela, is one of the largest and most notorious prisons in the country. La Sabaneta Prison is situated in the city of Maracaibo, the capital of Zulia State in western Venezuela. It was originally designed to house around 700 inmates but has become severely overcrowded over the years. As of recent reports, the prison's population far exceeds its capacity, with thousands of inmates crammed into overcrowded and unsanitary conditions. Sabaneta was built in the 1970s to accommodate a growing prison population in Venezuela. However, over the decades, the prison has gained a reputation for violence, corruption, and human rights abuses. It has been the site of numerous riots, escapes, and incidents of violence between inmates and guards. The prison suffers from severe overcrowding, with inmates living in cramped cells and overcrowded dormitories. The infrastructure of the facility is deteriorating, with inadequate sanitation, limited access to clean water, and poor ventilation. Many areas of the prison lack basic amenities and are in a state of disrepair. La Sabaneta is known for its high levels of violence and gang activity. Gangs, known as prains, exert significant control over the prison population and engage in extortion, drug trafficking, and other criminal activities. Violent clashes between rival gangs are common, leading to injuries and fatalities among inmates. Human rights organizations have documented widespread human rights abuses at La Sabaneta Prison, including torture, arbitrary detention, and extrajudicial killings. Inmates are often subjected to physical and psychological abuse by prison guards, including beatings, electrocution, and sexual violence. The prison lacks adequate healthcare facilities and medical services, leading to widespread health problems among inmates. Infectious diseases such as tuberculosis and HIV/AIDS are rampant, exacerbated by overcrowding and unsanitary conditions. Access to essential medicines and medical treatment is limited. The Venezuelan government has made efforts to address the issues facing La Sabaneta prison, including implementing prison reforms and improving conditions for inmates. However, these efforts have been hampered by systemic corruption, budgetary constraints, and political instability. La Sabaneta has attracted international scrutiny from human rights organizations and the United Nations due to its egregious human rights abuses and poor conditions. The Venezuelan government has faced criticism and condemnation from the international community for its failure to address the crisis in the country's prisons. The dysfunction and violence within La Sabaneta prison have broader implications for Venezuelan society, contributing to crime, insecurity, and social instability. The lack of rehabilitation and reintegration programs for inmates exacerbates recidivism rates, perpetuating cycles of violence and criminality. There have been widespread calls for reforming Venezuela's prison system to address the humanitarian crisis at La Sabaneta prison and other facilities across the country. Advocates and human rights organizations have urged the government to take concrete steps to improve conditions, respect human rights, and ensure accountability for abuses committed within the prison system. Number 2. Black Dolphin Prison. Black Dolphin Prison, officially known as Federal Penal Colony No. 6, is a high-security prison located in Sol-Iletsk, Orenburg Oblast, Russia. Black Dolphin Prison is situated in a remote area near the town of Sol-Iletsk, approximately 1,000 kilometers southeast of Moscow. It was established in 2000 and has gained notoriety as one of Russia's toughest and most secure penitentiary facilities. Black Dolphin Prison is designed to house some of Russia's most dangerous and violent criminals, including serial killers, terrorists, and organized crime figures. The facility is surrounded by high walls topped with barbed wire, guard towers, and extensive security systems to prevent escape. Inmates at Black Dolphin Prison are subjected to a strict and regimented daily routine with limited freedoms and constant surveillance by guards. The prison operates on a highly disciplined regime, with inmates required to follow strict rules and regulations. Conditions within the prison are harsh, with minimal comforts and amenities provided to inmates. Black Dolphin is known for its extensive use of solitary confinement as a disciplinary measure. Inmates who violate prison rules or pose a security risk may be placed in solitary confinement cells for extended periods, sometimes for months or even years at a time. These cells are small, windowless, and sparsely furnished, with limited access to natural light and fresh air. Reports from former inmates and human rights organizations allege widespread abuse and mistreatment of prisoners at Black Dolphin Prison. Inmates are reportedly subjected to physical and psychological abuse by guards, including beatings, torture, and humiliation. There have been allegations of deaths and suicides resulting from mistreatment and harsh conditions within the prison. Black Dolphin is also known for its specialized execution facility, where death row inmates are held prior to execution. The facility is equipped with a special execution chamber where inmates are executed by firing squad. Russia is one of the few countries in the world that still carries out executions by firing squad. Black Dolphin has housed several high-profile inmates, including notorious serial killers such as Alexander Pichushkin, also known as the Chessboard Killer, who was convicted of murdering 48 people in Moscow between 1992 and 2006. Other inmates include members of organized crime syndicates, terrorists, and political dissidents. It has attracted international attention and criticism from human rights organizations and the international community due to its harsh conditions and treatment of inmates. Concerns have been raised about violations of human rights, including torture, arbitrary detention, and lack of due process. Black Dolphin Prison is part of Russia's broader penitentiary system, which has faced criticism for its harsh and inhumane treatment of prisoners. Despite efforts to reform the system and improve conditions, human rights abuses continue to be reported in Russian prisons, including Black Dolphin. The existence of prisons like Black Dolphin reflects broader issues within Russian society, including crime, corruption, and a lack of respect for human rights and the rule of law. The harsh conditions and treatment of inmates raise questions about justice, rehabilitation, and the effectiveness of punitive measures in addressing criminal behavior. In the number 1 spot, we have Pollsmoor Maximum Security Prison. Pollsmoor Maximum Security Prison, situated in Tokai, Cape Town, is indeed one of South Africa's most notorious correctional facilities. It gained international recognition during the apartheid era due to its association with Nelson Mandela, who spent a significant portion of his imprisonment there. Pollsmoor Prison was established in 1964 during the apartheid regime in South Africa. Originally designed for low-risk offenders, it expanded to include maximum security facilities due to overcrowding in other prisons. Located approximately 20 kilometers south of Cape Town city center, Pollsmoor covers a vast area surrounded by high walls topped with razor wire. The prison comprises different sections catering to various security levels, including minimum, medium, and maximum security facilities. The maximum security section is reserved for the most dangerous and violent offenders. Pollsmoor houses a diverse range of inmates, including convicted murderers, rapists, gang members, and other serious offenders. It is known as one of the most dangerous prisons in South Africa due to the violent nature of many inmates' crimes. Concerns have been raised about overcrowding, inadequate healthcare, and violence among inmates. Despite efforts to improve conditions, challenges persist due to the prison's high population and limited resources. Besides Nelson Mandela, Pollsmoor has housed other notable individuals such as Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Mandela's time in Pollsmoor played a significant role in his journey towards becoming an iconic figure in the fight against apartheid. Despite its reputation as a tough correctional facility, Pollsmoor offers various rehabilitation programs, including educational courses, vocational training, and counseling services, aimed at helping inmates reintegrate into society upon release. Tight security measures, including surveillance cameras, regular patrols, and strict access controls, are in place to prevent escapes and maintain order within the prison grounds. However, incidents of violence and attempted escapes occur occasionally. Pollsmoor's presence has a significant impact on the surrounding community, providing employment opportunities but also raising concerns about safety and crime among nearby residents. Despite the challenges and harsh realities within Pollsmoor, efforts continue to improve conditions and provide inmates with opportunities for rehabilitation and reintegration into society. The need for reform and rehabilitation is evident, highlighting the urgency of addressing the issues faced by inmates within the prison system. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the world's most dangerous prisons. If you found this video informative or eye-opening, be sure to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more captivating content like this. Until next time, stay safe and take care.